Now, do I look here?
Peace and grace, friends and family, Facebook friends and family, to my YouTubers, Spotify. Thank you so much for chiming in once again. I'm Rachelle Wilson for Make Some Intelligent Noise. And with me today, I have none other than State Representative Stephanie Terrific Bolden. Yes, I remember you said that, so I decided to say it too. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming and chatting with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am.
So many years.
Yes, we've known each other many years. I remember when I was just starting off as a journalist and I asked who is now President Joe Biden. At the time he was a senator and he would always allow me to interview him. All of you were always so gracious.
And that's the Delaware way.
Yeah.
In terms of, respect and values.
Yes, so it's been a long road from then to now. And you've been in politics, you've been a public servant for, 13 years now? That's since 2010? That's a long time.
Actually from 1992 when I was first elected to Wilmington City Council.
Okay.
And that was an exciting year for me because I didn't even realize I was elected. I was so excited because we had gotten our first black mayor, and that was Jim Seals.
Yes.
So we were all so happy because nobody thought that could happen in 92. So, and then you go in office in 93, you get that. So I was there, and then 2010, I was elected to the General Assembly. So I have been a public servant prior to being an elected official for many, many years. That's what my dad instilled in me, always to give back and help where you can. And
you've done so much. You've done so much. So many bills and, various different events have come across your desk. Some you've signed, some you didn't, some you agreed, some not so much. What is that like in terms of building these relationships where you can agree to disagree, to agree and to disagree?
Well, glad you asked that question because that's very important. I have learned from my uncle, Senator Holloway, when he was in office, the first African-American senator down there for 30 years, and how he was able to work both sides of the aisle and get the respect of everyone. That was my... That's what I did on city council. I was the only woman on city council for 8 years and the only African-American woman on council for, 8 years or more. And I did encourage other people to actually run for office, and they did. And some were very good, some had some doubts, but they ended up running and so forth. So at the General Assembly, I was there. I don't know what it is about this 8. Maybe I should play the number or something. However, I was in the General Assembly by myself as the only African-American female for 8 years. There were other African-American women, but there was only no more than one at a time. And there were at least 2 men. Dennis Williams was there, and J.J. Johnson was there. And at one time, Herman Jr. was there, and one time Arthur Scott was there. So, but it's never been the numbers that we have now. So I was very excited about the new people that came in. I think it was 2018.
A lot of young people, professionals.
But the key to it is being able to listen, learn, and then interject. You can't come into a place that has 41 members and think that you can change the world. And that's what I did. I listened, I learned, I did a lot of research even prior to getting there. I'm a former teacher, so I had a notebook with everything, all the commissions, what the salaries were, what legislation had been done. And basically, my legislation has, and I'm not saying it's mine, the legislation that I have proposed for the state of Delaware while I was there affects all Delawareans. Yes, we represent a specific district.
Number 2, right?
Number 2. Okay. However, your district is not the basic legislation which you do, because whatever you put up and whatever is voted on in the House and then in the Senate and signed by the governor affects the whole state of Delaware. Yes. That is what your legislation actually does. Yes. So basically, with the representative district, I'll do sidewalks. I'll make sure that nonprofits in the area are getting the money they need. I put in money or requests for bond for new Capitol buildings, like we're getting Bancroft School done.
Yes, I noticed you're on several various different committees: finance, agriculture, for
not
food,
ag, but
for food in Delaware.
Right. Well, the food bank. I've done with the food bank. But no, I've been on a lot of committees. Currently, I'm on the Joint Finance Committee. That's the most important committee because that's the money committee.
Okay.
And this is the one. I was the only one on there representing the city of Wilmington. So
again, the first African American female.
That's right.
You're a trailblazer.
I forgot about that. I don't look for the first. I just want to be in places that I can be accessible and also be beneficial to the people we're representing.
Do you think that you are, and be honest, do you think that you are respected by your colleagues in all of these various legislations?
Yeah, I have a great amount of respect on both sides in the General Assembly. Being perfectly honest, I think some of the questions come in when people are not sure of where they should be and what they should be doing. And rather than work with people, they work against people. And you see a lot of that not in my generation, but in the newer generation of people. They can say the word progressive, but I don't classify myself in one area. I might be progressive in some issues, moderate in others, conservative in others, and so on and so forth. So it's a combination, because when you limit yourself to your abilities and to the work you want to do, your thoughts, your actions, that causes a problem, but not for you, but for the people you represent.
You're a woman of great wisdom. As I sit here, the audience can't feel it or hear it, but I can feel it generating from you. You're just a woman of great wisdom. You've been around the block, the mulberry bush, a couple of different times. The young people, they want to be progressive. They want to make change. They see the problems from their perspectives, and they want to change it from their perspective. But I think it kind of goes back to the old bull and the young bull sitting up on the hill. You heard that joke, right? So, young people need wisdom in order to be progressive. Are you getting a lot of kickback from the younger legislators?
Well, I wouldn't say kickback. I formed the Black Caucus, the Legislative Black Caucus, because
you formed that.
Yeah, I'm the
Bravo!
One once we had enough people there, because it is your Black Caucus throughout the states, and I've been to all of the national conferences, etc., consists of legislators. What we used to do is, because we didn't have enough people in the General Assembly to want to do that actually, we used to have a caucus of every elected official. But that didn't work out that well, because each area, if you were a city council person or a county council person or whatever, or state, we didn't have the same issues that we had to develop and get done. So we were able, with 8 people that came in, we formed the Delaware Legislative Black Caucus, which worked perfectly. Senator Darius Brown at the time was the chair. And you had Sherry Dorsey Walker, which was the vice chair. And then I try to keep them in for 2 years.
Okay.
To make sure they stay there the 2 years of the elected office.
To be impactful.
Exactly. But they wanted to change.
Okay.
And go, at the end of the 1 year, wanted to put somebody else in. And then when other people started coming in, it got confused, and people came in with a lot of their own ideas and what they wanted to do. So we have to reorganize, which we are. And we formed the Justice for All agenda, which consisted of economic development. It had education as well as public safety and those things. Out of that Justice for All agenda, we created the African American Task Force and the Law Enforcement Task Force.
Now, let's go back and talk a little bit about what exactly does the Justice for All agenda, what does that speak to?
Okay, well, that was created by the Black Caucus.
Okay.
And they looked at specific areas throughout the state of Delaware how brown and black people have been affected.
Yes.
So in doing that, we created several subcommittees within that. And within the subcommittees were two major committees. One, because we couldn't put all of them together, so we put one under law enforcement, which Representative Frank Cook was the chair.
Okay.
And then we put another one under African American Task Force, which I was the chair.
Okay.
Along with Cleon Cawley, who was from Delaware State. Our job was to look at different areas. We had, like I said, six different areas. We had health and welfare, we had finance, we had education, we had public safety, and I forget, there's another one that was like 4 or 5 subcommittees. Within those subcommittees, they did work and came up with ideas or things they saw were disproportionate among brown and black people in the state of Delaware. And then from that, put all that information together, and we finance funds for what's called the Racial Consortium. So they're taking all the work the African American Task Force did, and they're going to be working on those things as a Racial Consortium, which is housed at Del State.
To bring equality? Is that
to look at what laws
targeting?
need to be made,
Okay.
or things that need to be changed. But one example is looking at the code, the Delaware Code Book. If you go back in that code, or the laws or constitution, there's a lot of words in there that may refer to black people as colored or Negro.
Yes.
So, and when you're looking at the history, that's a lot to have to decipher.
I'm a wordologist. I study law, so trust me when I tell you some of the laws, definitely, we still have blue laws on the books that say black folks aren't allowed to be without their masters. Without their piece of paper that says they're masters.
Well, we also had the Delaware, as you know, has been there were 3 states that did not accept the Emancipation Proclamation, and that was Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware. So since then, Kentucky has apologized for that. So did Maryland. Delaware was the only one that had not apologized. So when I got there in 2010, 2011. That was one of the pieces of legislation I did. Had them do the apology for slavery.
Yes.
And
because they brought us here, right, from Newcastle.
Oh well, most people think of the Underground Railroad as coming down, but actually it's coming from Maryland going up.
Up, right.
That's why a lot of it's in Sussex County, and when we look at Newcastle County, and then of course into Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And of course Thomas Garrett was a great help in hiding and things, and that's right here on 4th Street. So I'm trying to bring back the history, and I think it's important that we also know who the people were that fought, that made it possible for me to be where I am, as well as me making it possible for others to be there, and not, it's my turn.
I just want to say bravo for bringing that apology out.
Yes.
That needed to happen. And I'm glad that you pioneered that.
Yes. Well, it was requested by the Council of Dover for some time, and it was just ignored. Senator Henry tried to do it when she was there. She was the only black female in the Senate. Margaret Rose Henry.
Yes.
And, of course, there wasn't enough to get it from the House to the Senate, so it didn't go. So when I got there, that was one of the things I pushed, and then it wasn't that easy because some people said, "Oh, well, you want to do this, and you just got here, so on and so forth." I said, "Yes,
yes."
And so she sponsored it in the House, and I had, of course, started it in the House. She sponsored it in the Senate, and that's when it passed in the House. That was the final stage to get it through the Senate.
You have done so much, and sometimes it's not even the big things, the big bills, as much as they matter. It is the little teeny things that also matter. I never knew about that, about the apology. So I just learned something right here today in this interview. I never knew that before, and so I must say bravo.
Well, we've been involved with the Black Caucus has been involved in removal of the whipping post.
I do know about that. Sherry Dorsey Walker,
that was out to where the old women's prison used to be. First black man that was hung there. There was a marker put there. That was Senator Darius Brown's efforts in getting that done. We were all there for that. And then somebody damaged that and pulled it down, but we got it back again, so that's there. It's just so much history, and I think if our young people, I can't even say if our parents, the parents of the young people, would sit down and have conversations and talk about it, I don't believe we would have so much black on black crime that we do now.
Yeah. But when mom and dad is so stressed out and hung up on their own personal issues, it sort of takes away from their good parenting. It takes away from their good parenting. But I want to say, on the Legislative Black Caucus, you do have quite a few powerhouses. One of them happens to be someone that I love and adore. She is now the House Majority Whip, Melissa Minor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, I am so proud of her.
And we have Carrie Harris.
Okay, yes.
Carrie Harris is the whip. Melissa is, Representative Minor Brown is now the majority leader.
Majority leader.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's powerful. And that's, again, black woman power. And I really support that. I can't help but support that.
It's good if it's positive.
Yeah,
that's
if
all
it's
I can
positive.
say. It can't be about us. Or actually, it can't just be about women. Yeah, women are making tremendous steps going up here, there. I mean, every aspect of life. However, I don't want to be against the male, or look at I'm doing this because of this, that, or the other. And some pull that in, even around. Everybody is a human being first, and it's where you put your values. And I emphasize values. And respect, because you learn. I've always respected my elders, and I just see now that's not being taught, and you're getting people that still don't do that, respecting their elders. Yeah. And it's not about because of age; it's because of the wisdom and what they're trying to offer.
I saw on TikTok. I think she might have been like a little 5 or 6, 7-year-old little girl. And the mother was telling her, you go to school, don't you let them hit you. You better fight them and hit them back. And the little girl is showing her ability to fight and beat up if someone, goes to hit her. So, the way our parents train us today is different than the way they trained us,
But does it make it right?
Well, what is right anymore? It's almost, in today's world, we've got all kinds of really wacky things going on in the name of progression and inclusivity, that we are accepting all manners of people's behavior. And if we don't accept it, or at least smile about it, we can be deemed as hateful, as being hateful or non-inclusive.
I think because I taught school for over 30 years, and I will always teach high school. I love my high school kids because I always said that was the group that people overlook. And I had the utmost respect for them as they did for me. I mean, we would have Walt's chicken once a month or something. I'd have Brandon for my accounting class or whatever. But our first day, I always shared my life with them, and I allowed them to go around and share their life. And so then we had a contract, an understanding. The only thing I asked of them is that I know you've come in with problems or something happened that you're upset about. I just ask that you just let me get the class started, and then I will come and talk to you, and we can see what we can work out to get things done. That always worked, and I would still be there. It wasn't the kids. It was just some of the administration.
The politics. Trust me, I'm not a teacher today because of the administrative politics.
Oh,
and like you, the high schoolers are the best. I love them.
You know what your reward is when you can see someone, and when you're out, like Habitat for Humanity. I've seen several of my students that got their first home. They're saying, "Oh my God, congratulations!" They're lawyers. I've seen those. I ran into a girl at Lowe's. And she said, "Miss Bolden, I know that's you." I said, "Well, what year did you graduate?" And she'll tell me. I said, "Well, I'm the same age I was when you graduated."
That's right.
One has been a principal at Howard High School. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, that is the best feeling. And like you, I see them out, and it is so good.
Because I knew I wasn't going to get rich teaching, but that's what I wanted to do because I had great teachers.
No one is
gave me
a
so much.
teacher because they're going to get rich. You're always a teacher because you want to give back.
and that needs to be emphasized over and over.
Over and over.
That's what the new one. That's what's happening now. Well, we got to give bonuses. We have to do this. No, or they want to be teachers because they're off during the summer. When you're out, you are coming down from all the work that you did during that year and preparing for the next year. So
yeah.
It's not a vacation.
At all. At best, you might get a week or two.
Correct.
But yeah, you've got paperwork to do and preparation for the next year.
And making sure if you're doing jobs, your seniors, you're checking on them out.
Yeah.
I used to also do that. Job coordinator when I was at Sarah Pyle Academy. I have them working in state government, in city government, county government, as well. So it wasn't just limited for fast foods,
right.
which is good because
right.
you can always own one. Lizelle DeLuce showed you that. She owned 3 McDonald's. Yeah. So there's so much you can do if people just only listen and try to strive, but get all the information before you jump out there and be angry.
Yeah. Turning the clock a little bit, I want to get your thoughts on, police today versus then, they're putting their knee in our neck now.
Ms. Bolden, we did the choke bill. You can't do any of that anymore.
Yeah, well, we hope that they won't. But even now, there are reports of beheadings taking place in the southern parts of Delaware.
I haven't heard that.
Yes, I'm trying to think of the young man's name. I believe it's Rasheen something, but found headless.
Really?
In the park in Sussex County.
Mm.
So, and I'll definitely send you that information so you can become familiar with it. But if that's real news and not fake news, it is a little bit daunting. But we can say, even if that is fake news, we know what's happening in the courtrooms. Black people are being prosecuted and incarcerated at 5 times the rate of their counterparts. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's different because I go to the Board of Adjustment hearings, which is at Sussex in Smyrna at that prison. And Senator Henry's on that board now. But I used to always go and sit in on those and see the people that came in. Those that have been
incarcerated. You mean for like parole and pardon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not the pardon. It's
parole.
It's the ones that come in to try to get on the list to be paroled.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's a board,
yes.
and they set up, and then those that do come in are able to tell their story. So there was one case I remember while I was there that came in, and it was a robbery. And the person that robbed the actual store with a gun was inside, and the other person was in the car. The person that was in the store with a gun ended up getting something like 20 years, and the person in the car waiting got 25 years. Of course, it was color. One was white, one was black. And so these are the things that you hear when you're actually there to listen in and to get a better understanding. So these are the things you go after. There are good police, there are bad police, and we know that.
Yes.
We have had, I got stopped by the police coming from Legislative Hall, and my tag is on my car, and I was pulled over. He indicated, I said, well, why'd you pull me over? So he said, my tags had expired, is what he said. My question to him was, okay, well, I'm not sure because I don't look, but let me pull out my registration and all this other stuff. And I didn't have my license. I told him right up I didn't because my wallet had been stolen. Yeah. So I had to get everything all over again. So I pulled out my registration card while he was back there running the tag. And it said, whatever it was, 2002, I think it was during that time. It hadn't expired. So I'm looking, so I said, sir, here's my registration. Look at this. Here's the car. He looked at the VIN number and everything else. And he still comes back and says, oh, well, I just ran it, but it came back saying that this car was not tagged. Well, it was my other car has been garaged for over 6 months. And I said, you can look at this car and see it's
that
not
it's
the
not
one
that car
that's coming up. Yeah,
right.
So he said, oh, well, I'll just give you a warning, let me go. I was furious.
Yeah.
The next day when I got there, I said, Lord, I want to talk to the chief of police for this area. This was in Kent County.
Yes.
Et cetera, and so on and so forth. So we did get it straightened out. What it was.
He didn't have any idea who you were,
but you know what
or
it was?
really to pull you over.
No, it's on my tag. It's on your tag.
Okay.
It says your state record.
Okay.
But what it was, I forgot I had Biden-Harris on my sticker.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they figured. I said, well, you know, I'm looking at your picture here. This is what the speaker told me then. He said, you got Biden-Harris on there. That's probably why I stopped you, because I'm in, Kent County.
Right.
But, getting back to that point of view, we've had a few officers that have come from other states here that were acted out what they did in those states, which had to be done. So we've done a lot on the Black Caucus for that particular bill, the law enforcement. We're looking at all those things. So it's a lot of legislation that came out of there.
Senator Elizabeth Tizzy Lockman was championing that, but they watered it down so bad that by the time the advocates got a hold of it, it wasn't even worth
but
doing
you can always
anything
come
with.
back and make amendments.
Yes.
You can always come back and make amendments. See, what I don't want people to do is be discouraged because something doesn't go exactly the way. It takes time to work your way up to get things done. Everything's not going to be done overnight the way you want it. But that was the most important thing, to get that piece of legislation through. Now we go back and we bring in amendments to it, to add things back in. It was the same thing for marijuana. Yeah. There was problems with it. And of course, there's still problems with trying to get people out to get the license to be able to open up places. But one of my main concerns with that bill originally was it didn't address the city of Wilmington. And I'm saying that because my main concern was I wanted an amendment on that bill that indicated they could not be located near our schools, our churches, or our residents, because we are row houses. And my example was our liquor stores that are across from a school, Bancroft. You have that liquor store right across from Bancroft.
2 blocks from a church.
Right. Or, right on 11th Street, right from the church. And then there was one on Market Street that was right next to a church where 7-Eleven is now.
Well, I don't have to tell you. You're a woman of God. You already know what the word says about that. Everywhere there's good, evil's going to pop up somewhere, the temptation. So, we know why the liquor store is 2 blocks from the church. Or why marijuana.
Well, they were grandfathered in, because now I know on city council we did do a law that said they could not be there.
Okay.
And I know one of the other things was when Governor Minner was in.
Yes.
When they extended the hours to Sundays and things. Most of the people here in the city did not want to be open on Sundays. These were liquor stores. They came to city council. Talking about it. However, we tried to get her through resolution. I was on council. Please eliminate the city of Wilmington. It didn't go through. She wouldn't do that. But what she did do is allow us to set the hours.
Okay.
So, there was a compromise. We did get something out of it, but even they did not want to be able, because they said that was a day of rest and service.
Yes. And, even the alcoholics need to take a little bit of a break. Sometimes just a little bit of a break, give their kidneys a little respite. So also I want to go back into, you talked about, and I don't know how much you know. I mean, I certainly I've made it public to everyone, but I don't know if you know intimately that I am the mother of an incarcerated son. And at this particular time, my son's paperwork is on the conveyor belt. So you may find yourself sitting in a meeting, and my son will prayerfully, he'll be able to, express himself at the board.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So that's very interesting. I didn't know that you went to those boards. I know that Senator Margaret Rose Henry is a part of that. I had no idea that you were part of that.
She came on after she retired. But I was going there before she even retired, because I wasn't on public safety. It's just that I wanted to know what was going on, because I would receive a lot of letters from those that have been incarcerated. And there's one gentleman I've known since he was a kid that had an incident years ago which ended up putting him in jail for the longest time.
Is he still there?
No.
Okay.
We worked very diligently on getting him a pardon. So
That's
he's out now. He's been doing well.
Good.
Just got to make sure he stays focused.
Yes. It's very difficult. You know, you kind of become traumatized in there, because it's a different world in there than it is out here. Different rules and regulations. And I never knew that until it happened to me, until the justice system knocked on my door. And then I realized that it's a different world inside the prison. The belly of the beast is very different than it is out here. So, but I think in staying on task of because again, you taught me something new. I did not know that you went to those boards. But in regards to the massive incarceration, and our young people have been mentally traumatized on so many different levels. I feel so sorry for them. My heart just goes out to them, again, like a high school teacher. You feel for these kids. What do you think? What's going on? What are we going to do? How can we help them? What can we do? Is there anything we can do?
Well, some of the things we've done is put wellness centers in the schools, because it seems that this, I would say, for the past 3 generations, it has just escalated in terms of mental illness concerns. I have a grandson that's going through the same thing. The kid's going in foster care. I try to keep abreast of that to make sure that those things are going on. I keep saying we put all these programs in schools, etc., but we need to make sure we are working with the parents, because no matter what we put in place for them, they're going back into the same household. And it may be the same problems in there. The parents must come out and work with us. I'm not talking about me directly, but work with the services that are available, the people that are doing it, Department of Health and Social Services, Adult Protective Services, foster care. These places are the places that parents need to be involved. The other thing, and seems like nobody agrees with me on this. Maybe one person does agree. We need our Wilmington School District back. Our children are all over the place.
Yes.
So before, when we had our own school district, we knew the names of the kids. We knew where they lived. The parents had the opportunity to be part of a PTA. They had extracurricular activities they could participate in. They didn't need an activity bus to get to them.
That's right.
So they have separated us so much. There are 5 school districts in the city of Wilmington. And when you look at all 5 of them, it could be Brandywine here or Red Clay there, whatever. All the schools are located right here in the city. So why are we splitting all of them up and sending our high school kids out in the suburbs because they won't consolidate their schools? Why have 3 or 4 or 5 high schools when you don't have the people in the suburbs to fill them? So consolidate them.
We need more black male teachers.
William Penn is a perfect example of that. They have 1 high school, and they have people on the waiting list. My daughter went to William Penn, and my nieces. I'm a foster mother, which I adopted my 2 girls. Okay. And so I say my kids were 14 when they were born. Because I'd only take teenagers. They were the ones that were hard to place. Yes. And so, one has her own, her bachelor's degree, her master's degree, owns her own home, is moved. The other one is just getting ready to get this huge contract. I hope it goes through for Panera, because she's in Charlotte, and she does these cinnamon buns, which she just took to a meeting, and they said, where did these come from? And it was a Panera person there, vice president, that was there recognizing. So God works in mysterious ways.
Yes.
He's good.
And again, God bless you for being a foster mom and adopting children.
Oh, yeah.
Teenagers at that, because we know teenagers kind of going through it a little bit. It's something that takes place in the estrogen and testosterone, and the amygdala is not completely developed yet.
Back to the young people. It's just services that really are there, but nothing is going to work if we don't get participation from the families themselves. And I know when Henry Senta was there, I can go way back a lot of things, when he was principal of Howard. And he used to come out and walk through the communities, go to the parents' house. And this is what we need. You can't stay in a building. The teachers have got to come out.
Gotta come out.
and know who the kids are. We just had a mayhem that was yesterday, Tuesday. It was over 100 kids at Kirkwood Park. These were middle school kids from Bancroft, but some lived on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all there on their bicycles and things like that. They had pepper spray. They were stopping people in the streets. They were just harassing people because they were out of school that day for Columbus Day.
Oh, that was Monday.
Monday. And I had the guy, I was outside because he was working on my roof and the ladders there. I was like, oh my God, I don't want these people running past here. But I was trying to calm them down and and talk to them. And eventually, the police came and they walked around and told them, to calm them down. But before, when on council, we used to have the Powell Center, Hicks Sanderson.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Those places are still active.
Well, but they were there because when the kids, that number of kids get out of hand, you take them there, you call their parents.
Yes.
Their parents have to come and get them.
Yes.
And that way we're able to connect with the parents and know what's going on.
That's right.
And get the help they need.
And get the parents to get the help that they need.
That's right. Yeah.
With schools being so far away and sending children out so many different various locations, parents don't always have transportation to become a part of the Parent Teachers Association.
That's right.
So they can't get there.
That's why I said we need our Wilmington School District back because they can. And even those that are playing sports, like they might have practice on Saturday. My grandson did. Well, there was no bus for Saturday, so you either had to take, he was at St. George's.
Right.
You either had to take him all the way down there for practice and things like that. It is just, it's by design as far as I'm concerned, to keep us separated, keep our kids from learning, and it's just wrong. And I just want to know how many people that are sitting there that refuse to even look at the prospect of us bringing our Wilmington School District back went to public school. How many of them went to public school? They were private school or Catholic school or whatever.
Right.
And they don't see it. And even with our black elected officials that live in the county, they need to come in the city. I have invited people from both sides to come to the city. No one came, the Republicans came, and I took them on a tour of the city. But they said, oh, no, we've been in the city. Yeah, you've been to the riverfront or an event or whatever, but
that's
you have
not
not
the
been
city.
to the neighborhood.
Yeah, this where we are, this is the neighborhood. Over where the radio station that's on the east side, that's the neighborhood.
Yes.
And if you haven't been in those kinds of places, I personally think that, this is just my opinion, before anyone runs for a seat to be a public servant, you need to know the communities in which you are serving. Not just out in the beautiful county where it's so plush and green and lovely trees, but how about coming into the city where it's nothing but brick houses, row houses, and alleyways, and people, and see the life and noise.
But that's...
It's life. It's the life.
I can't live anywhere where I don't hear noises sometimes. I don't want to hear crickets.
Well, crickets are out in the county. Noise is right here. I think it was yesterday, again, Monday, the kids out of school, gunshots going off around the corner from where I live.
There was a kid over South Bridge, too, that was shot.
Yeah.
I think it was last night.
Why are they so upset? Is it the trauma from home? Because things are happening at home that aren't nice things. They're not nice things, and they're happening to the children. But the kids put on a smiley face and come outside, but they're angry. Yeah. Is it that? Or is it, most children are very frightened or daunted by the earth, the climate, climate change is very frightening and daunting to children. You may have heard recent reports talk about Elon Musk. He's about to colonize Mars. Okay?
Yeah, right.
So, when you have the money. When you have the money and nothing else better to do with it, right? You colonize Mars. Yeah. But, all of these things can be stressful on a young mind.
A lot of it has to do with social media. We didn't have that coming up. And when I've looked at, or I've spoken with some of the kids when I was teaching school, why, what's going on social media? For example, the young girl that was attacked at Howard. where they came from another school over there.
Yeah.
That was something on social media that turned out not to be true. So it has a lot.
There was a young lady killed at Howard.
Yeah, well, she hit her head on this thing. Right.
Because of what was happening and all of that.
Yeah, she was pushed, but they didn't actually, that wasn't actually them that caused her death. But the thing is that it was social media that said something about her with somebody else or whatever.
Oh,
she wasn't even involved.
That got it started.
Yeah, they got it started. So social media has a lot to do with it. Again, the parents connecting. Our parents used to have conversations with us, or you can feel, but they don't want to talk about it. My girls, that I did not born myself, we had conversations. We sat down, we ate dinner at night.
Yes.
You know, we weren't
at
just sitting out on the steps having chicken and throwing the bones on the ground or whatever. So there was rules, there were regulations, there were values, just values, and the word values I keep bringing up because you did your homework when you came home. You had dinner with your family. Mm-hmm. You know, you didn't just go out and buy something from fast foods or all this other stuff. We cooked.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Yes. I can't tell you how many kids are going to the corner store for dinner at night. Fast food, chicken fingers and fries with cheese, right? Like, what happened to your vegetables and a good hearty meal and some salad, you know? So the values have changed. Somewhere religion has been taken out of everything.
They took prayer out of school. That started a lot of it. That one woman that they can't find anymore just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Took religion out of the schools. So and there's no more I pledge allegiance to the flag.
They do. They still pledge allegiance to the flag, and they used to have a moment of silence.
Okay.
When you pledge allegiance to the flag.
Okay.
But, you know, the moment of silence just to stand there or whatever because they didn't want to have that was taking place in the Lord's Prayer.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, so obviously things have changed a lot from when you began to where you are now. So I want to ask you one question in two parts. I believe there's a young gentleman at this time, a Mr. Taylor, who is vying to take your seat. He would like very much to sit in the seat that you've been sitting in. Not out of disrespect, but he thinks as a young man that he can do it better, more progressively than you can. What do you think about that? And why, after you've done so much, Rep Bolden, why would you want to stay? Why would you want to stay in your seat?
Well, I can ask you that. Why would you want to stay in any profession that you're in? Why, you know, what is the purpose? I have been dedicated to what I do all my life. It wasn't being elected. I ran the East Side Substance Abuse Awareness Program without being an elected person. I organized landlord consortiums. I organized parents consortiums, business consortiums. I turned roller skating parking lots into roller skating rings. I turned our pools into pool parties with a DJ, etc. And I did what's called a pump handle, which I had all up in the parks, each year a different park that would allow people, they had to come and sit by number and find out something about each other. That was my way of pulling communities together. I did bus trips to Dorney Park. And these are all things I did before. Okay, and on Saturdays at People's Settlement, when it was open for the community, we used to have tutoring classes there. And Saturdays, I would always have orange juice and pastry for the kids to come in and watch cartoons, which I got from the Wilmington Library. Yeah. So these are things that I've done. And as long
before you were an elected public servant.
Elected, and even after that, I mean, I was the first one that brought the Camera Watch program for the city of Wilmington when I was on city council. I raised over $200,000 to put cameras in highly drug-infested neighborhoods when Seals was mayor. I was the one that got Macaulay Court built, working for that because that had stayed vacant for over 20 years. Village of Eastlake, which used to be the bucket. Yeah. So all these things I have done, it's not just like sitting in a job or something. This is not a profession. Okay, my profession was teaching. Yeah. A lot of people want to go into this. They don't have a real job, you know, or things of that. But my point is, anybody can run for office, but run for the right reasons. And the right reasons are not because of one issue that they didn't do. One issue was the marijuana, is where he came from. Oh, well, she didn't vote for marijuana. No, but did you ask why? Like I told you before, because I want to make sure that when they open up these dispensaries, they're not next to our schools, our churches, or our homes. Right. That amendment was put in there, and I voted for it. Okay. So it's not about why I'm there because God put me here. This is what He developed for me to do in my life. I've adopted children, which I didn't have any of my own. I have been a servant to the community. I still live in the community in which I grew up in. And so I'm right there. I'm accessible, and they have my home phone number. I go door to door, and if nobody's home, I'm leaving something saying, sorry I missed you. Just stop by to say hello. Yeah. So this is me. Yeah. This is my life. This is my values. But I don't plan to stand here forever. The other thing is, they always ask, well, are you bringing somebody forward for your position? I said, yeah, I brought a lot of people. Ask Hanifa Shabazz. Ask Sherry Dorsey Walker. You know, ask Michelle Harley. All of them that came and talked to me. Ask Yolanda. Ask Brigida.
Yes, Brigida Fields.
And I said, because these are people that respect me and sit down and talk to me before they even ran or encouraged them to run. Yes. You know, ask Darius Brown from 11th grade on. Wow. I took him, put him with me, he's extremely bright. Yes. But just put him in the right places and look how he has excelled. Yes. So
it's a little temperamental at times, but
well, yeah. Well, we're still working on that.
We're working on his temperamentalness.
Ask Eugene Young.
He's running now.
He used to be my legislative aide. And he'll tell you in a minute.
He was once your legislative
aide. When he left me, he went to Cory Booker, State Senator Cory Booker.
Yes.
So this is experience that you bring. I keep going back to values. It's wisdom. And it's people that taught me, made the way for me, that I will want to be able to see that I'm making the way for them. It's not about, oh, it's your time to go. And that's what they... Ask these people, where have they been? You know, where have they been all these years? Yeah. You know, you don't just come out now. I didn't come out when I decided to run for office. I had already been doing things. They knew my name. They knew what I stood on corners with a bullhorn, calling out license numbers of people that were coming into our community to buy drugs.
Wow.
They know.
Ooh, that takes a lot of courage.
Oh, yeah, it takes a lot of courage, but I have respect in those neighborhoods, even from the drug dealers and users. Yeah. So they see me, oh, Miss Bolden, no. I said, One was my student. I said, come here, because I would have my back. I said, you thought I was somebody down here looking for drugs, huh? Oh, no, Miss Bolden. And these were talented kids that I knew. I said, you were really good in school. Why are you out here like this? Yeah. So you try to talk to them. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm here. I'm running in 2024. And I don't, regardless of that, I'm hoping to have a few people that are shadowing me, that are interested, and I'm trying to show them the way. I have a book like this that has all the information that I learned before I got in, which I'm sharing with people. So,
well, I've got to tell you this, and then we're going to end because we're just about at the end of our time. In no way, shape, or form do I have any interest in ever being an elected public servant. Like, that's just not... I like being a journalist. I love being a journalist.
But you're being a servant in that way.
In that way, I am. Sure. But recently, I was voted in to be the president of the Civic Association that had died. Okay, and now we're bringing it back to life. And the only reason that I even accepted that, I mean, as honored as I was that people wanted me to do it, the only reason I accepted it is because Larry Lambert has a program that I want to bring to our community for the children. Okay. And that's the only reason that I accepted it. And I'll tell you, politics start from the very moment. So I need you to kind of maybe you can let me shadow you and learn some stuff from you as well about
definitely,
that.
Definitely. Just
to
don't let
navigate
a group
through
of
that.
people to come in and complain. Then after it's settled, then you don't see them again.
Right.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about that we should have in this final moments? I want you to have
hopefully we will get another chance to talk about the primary bill.
Okay.
And that is a bill that sets our local primary at the same time as the presidential primary. It makes it convenient for people to vote. More people will vote. It brings the state, saves the state over $1 million, which you don't have to open up all these different places. Good. It gives the Department of Election a longer window to get votes out to those in the service and living abroad, because right now they got to get them out in August to get them back by September, and out again in October to get them back by November. Okay. So it's a good bill. It's been supported by so many organizations, unions, etc. I need the Senate to pass that bill. It's passed 5 times in the House, bipartisan. It goes to the Senate, and they will not pass the bill. The Democratic Senate will not pass the bill. So, to me, it's self-serving, because they're afraid. They don't want more people to vote. But what it becomes is voter suppression. Why would you not want it more convenient for people to vote?
Especially black votes. Yeah. Believe it or not, you and I know, because we're old enough to know, the black vote truly does matter. Yeah. It really does matter, more than people give it credit for it.
That's right.
And some people know that it matters. They know it so well that they will try to stop it or stifle it rather than allow black people to vote. Yeah, even give them fake news and tell them that their vote doesn't count. So many black people where I, in my neighborhood, they're like, oh, I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't count. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. And I try to tell them, no, baby, your vote does count.
And if you had your records expunged,
yeah,
and over 7 years, then you are able to vote.
That's
it's
a good
not a
thing.
Major felony. Yeah. You are able to vote, but these are things you could do.
They should have never taken. When a person goes to prison and they serve their time, when they are released, let them be free. They're still in prison even after they're released from the belly of the beast.
That's your constitutional right to vote.
So, yeah, but they're taking that away from everyone.
That's because people do not educate themselves as to the things that don't affect them directly. They only get involved in it when they know somebody else has been affected or it hits home.
Well, I can't say anything but amen to that, because I had no knowledge of the criminal justice system until at age 21 they took my son, and then it all came home for me. So that's how I got back into journalism, and I was very happy being a high school teacher, but now I'm a journalist, back in it again, and I love doing it, and I loved having you here with me today.
Thank you so much. It's
and
been a pleasure.
I would like to be able to have another conversation so we can talk about things in 2024. I'm going to hit the floor running in January. I go on vacation in November, but I'm going to hit the floor running in January.
Also the racial consortium. That would be something very good. It's a great committee that's together. It's paid for up through 2025 in terms of what bills or whatever they need, because it's housed at Delaware State University. It has a director and everything. The chairperson is Freeman Williams and Jane Huffington.
I'm familiar with Huffington, yes. Yeah. So you're saying I should talk to those people?
Well, have them to come on and probably talk about what the Racial Consortium is doing, how it was formed. That came out of the African American Task Force, and it's their job now to come up with legislation or to research all the subcommittees we had in the task force to make things better, whether it's bringing in a black bank or whether it's looking at health services and things like that for those brown and black people that have not been getting the things they need. And it's statewide. We're not just looking at Wilmington. We're looking at all 3 counties.
Good.
That because there's black people, poor people, and brown people in all 3 counties.
That's right. That's right. I just recently came back from Sussex County. I went down for 2 days to deal with some business, and I got to tell you, from when Justin, my son is Justin, when Justin and I lived down there, they didn't even have sidewalks. Okay. I'm telling you, Representative Bolden, the state trooper gave us a ticket for walking on the side of the road without a flashlight.
Oh, wow.
Now it's like a whole city.
Oh yeah, Lewis. I mean,
Lewis, Rehoboth,
yeah.
Georgetown. It's just buzzing with people and things everywhere.
Well, that's where most of the building is going. That's where a lot of people are moving here to Delaware because of the tax status, because of the beaches, etc. And you'd be surprised. I'm still learning about the different laws throughout the state. The laws are different down there than they are up here.
Yes.
You know, if you own property, you can vote in certain elections.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's crazy.
It is very different. It's very different. So I will be in touch with them. I will definitely get in touch with your assistant to set up another interview in 2024.
Okay, great.
And until then, my dear, may God bless you and keep you. You're an amazing, amazing woman.
Thank
Representative
you.
Stephanie Terrific Bolden. The T is for terrific. I'm Rachelle Wilson. Thank you, everyone that chimed in today. I didn't see your questions, but we will definitely get around to answering them as we move forward. Thanks again for chiming in. We love you and God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.